Michael sat alone on the cold bench facing the graveyard, a small bouquet of white lilies resting in his lap. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the rows of headstones, but he barely noticed. His eyes were fixed on one grave in particular, the smallest one in the row. "If only I had been more careful," he whispered, his voice cracking. "Just once, just that one time, this wouldn't have happened." The wind carried his words away, offering no comfort, no answers. Only the weight of memory remained, pulling him back to that day, the day everything changed. It had been a Saturday, bright and full of promise. Michael remembered how the sun streamed through the kitchen windows that morning as Grace made pancakes, the smell of butter and syrup filling their modest home. "Dad, can we go to the park today?" Daniel had asked, his 10-year-old eyes bright with excitement. "And the zoo," 7-year-old Esther added, bouncing in her seat. "Please, Daddy, please." Michael had laughed, ruffling her hair. "We'll see, Princess. We'll see." They were a simple family, but a happy one. Michael worked long hours as a construction supervisor, and Grace managed their home with the kind of love that turned a house into a sanctuary. Their evenings were filled with laughter, board games at the kitchen table, bedtime stories read in funny voices, prayers whispered over sleepy children. That Saturday had started like any other perfect family day. They'd gone to the hardware store, picked up groceries, stopped by Grace's mother's house. The hours slipped by in the comfortable rhythm of ordinary life. By late afternoon, they were driving home through the busy streets, the back seat filled with the chatter of tired, hungry children. "Dad, my stomach is growling so loud," Daniel announced dramatically. "Mine too," Esther chimed in. "It sounds like a lion." Grace turned to Michael with a knowing smile. "We'll be home in 20 minutes. I can make spaghetti, their favorite." But then they passed it. Mama's Kitchen, a roadside restaurant with bright neon signs and the rich smell of fried chicken wafting onto the street. The parking lot was crowded, people streaming in and out. "Ooh, can we eat there?" Esther pressed her face against the window. Michael glanced at the place. It looked lively enough, busy with customers. "What do you think, Grace?" She hesitated, studying the restaurant. The paint was peeling near the entrance, and she could see through the window that the tables looked hastily wiped. "Michael," she whispered, touching his arm, "I really don't feel good about this." But the children were already seated, excitedly reading the colorful menu with pictures of burgers and fries. "We're already here," Michael said. "Let's just eat quickly and go." Grace reluctantly sat down, her unease growing as she watched her children eat with a mother's instinct screaming that something was wrong.
They made it home by 7. The children played for a while, then got ready for bed. Michael tucked Esther in, kissing her forehead. "I love you, Daddy," she whispered sleepily. "I love you more, Princess. Sweet dreams." He had no idea those would be the last normal words they'd ever exchange. At 2 a.m., Michael woke to the sound of crying. He stumbled down the hall to find Daniel in the bathroom, vomiting violently. Before he could react, Esther's voice called out from her room, weak and frightened. "Mommy, my tummy hurts." The next hours became a nightmare that moved in terrible slow motion. Both children were vomiting, then came the diarrhea, then the fever. By dawn, Esther was too weak to stand. "We need to go to the hospital, now," Grace said, her voice tight with controlled panic. The emergency room was bright and cold. Doctors moved quickly, asking questions, starting IVs, running tests. Michael stood helpless as nurses wheeled his children away on gurneys. "Severe food poisoning," the doctor finally said, his face grave. "Both children have bacterial infection, likely from contaminated food. When did they last eat?" Michael felt his world tilt. "Last night. We ate at a restaurant." Grace turned to look at him, and in her eyes, he saw the accusation before she even spoke. Daniel recovered after 3 days in the hospital. He was young and strong, and the antibiotics worked quickly. But Esther, smaller and more fragile, didn't respond the same way. Her little body fought, but the infection had spread too fast, damaged too much. Michael stood beside her hospital bed, holding her tiny hand, watching machines breathe for her. Grace sat on the other side, silent, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, he whispered. Baby girl, I'm so sorry. But sorry couldn't turn back time. Sorry couldn't undo the decision he made so carelessly. 3 months after Esther's death, Michael was buying whiskey at a corner store when he overheard two men talking near the door. Man, the kids are starving. Let's just grab something quick at that place on 5th Street, Mama's Kitchen? Michael froze. That name. That cursed place. Yeah, whatever. Quick and cheap. That's all we need.
Before he knew what he was doing, Michael was in front of them, the whiskey bottle forgotten on the counter. "Don't," he said. The men looked at him, startled. "Excuse me?" "Don't take your kids there, please." Michael's hands were shaking. "That place, the food isn't safe. I know you're tired and your kids are hungry, but please, don't take the shortcut." One of the men frowned. "Man, you okay? It's just a restaurant." "That's what I said. I said, it's just food. What's the worst that could happen?" I said that to my wife. And 3 days later, I buried my 7-year-old daughter. The silence that followed was heavy. The man's expression changed from annoyance to shock. "What?" And then it poured out of Michael, the whole story. Standing in that corner store, he told these strangers about Esther's smile, about ignoring Grace's warning, about watching his little girl die because he couldn't wait 20 minutes to get home. "I know I look crazy," he finished, wiping his eyes. "I know you don't know me, but I'm begging you. I'm begging you as a father who lost everything. Don't risk it. Get your kids something safe. Go home and cook. Do whatever you have to do, but don't gamble with their lives over something as stupid as convenience." One of the men who'd suggested Mama's Kitchen looked shaken. He glanced at his friend, then back at Michael. I thank you. I'm sorry for your loss. We'll go somewhere else." Michael nodded, unable to speak anymore, and walked out of the store without his whiskey. Something shifted that day. It didn't erase the pain or bring Esther back, but it gave Michael something he hadn't had in months: purpose. He started talking. At the grocery store, the park, anywhere he saw parents making the same casual choices he'd made. Some people thought he was crazy. Some listened, but he didn't care. If even one child was saved, if even one parent thought twice, then maybe Esther's death wouldn't be completely meaningless. A month later, he got a phone call. It was the man from the corner store. "I don't know if you remember me," the voice said. "We met at the store. You told me about your daughter." "I remember. I wanted to call and say thank you. After we talked, I did some research. That restaurant, it got shut down last week. Health violations. Contaminated food storage. If I'd taken my kids there like I planned..." The man's voice caught. "You saved my children. I needed you to know that." Michael sat down slowly, the phone pressed to his ear. What are your children's names?" "Marcus and Joy. They're 6 and 8. Tell them to live good lives. Tell them their lives are precious." "I will. Every day. Thank you." Now, sitting in front of Esther's grave, Michael placed the lilies gently on the ground. The stone was simple. Esther Grace Morrison, beloved daughter, heaven's newest angel. "I met another father yesterday, baby girl. He was about to take his kids to a place that looked just like the one we went to. I told him your story. He listened. His kids are safe tonight, because of what happened to you." The tears came, as they always did, but they were different now. Still painful, but mixed with something else. Not quite peace, but purpose. "I can't change what I did. I can't bring you back. But I can make sure other fathers don't make the same mistake. I can make sure your story saves lives." A bird sang somewhere in the trees. The afternoon was fading into evening, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, Esther's favorite colors. "Your mother's talking to me again, baby girl," he said softly. "Not much, but it's something. Daniel smiled yesterday. Really smiled, for the first time since we lost you." We're trying. We're broken, but we're trying. I'll be back next week. I love you, Princess. And I promise your story will keep saving children. You're still protecting kids, even now, even from heaven. As Michael walked back to his car, he passed a young couple pushing a stroller. They were arguing about where to stop for dinner.
"There's that new place on the corner," the father said. "Looks cheap and fast." Michael paused, his hand on his car door. Then he turned and walked toward them, his heart heavy but his purpose clear. "Excuse me," he began. "I know this might sound strange, but can I tell you a story? It's about my daughter. Her name was Esther, and she taught me the most important lesson I'll ever learn." The couple stopped, looking at him curiously, and as the sun set over the graveyard behind him, Michael shared his daughter's story once more, turning tragedy into warning, pain into protection, loss into love, because that's what parents do. They protect, they warn, they sacrifice, even when it costs everything. Even when they learn the lesson too late for themselves, they make sure others don't have to learn it the same way. Esther's grave stood silent in the fading light, but her story continued to speak, a small voice that would save many, a tragedy that would prevent countless others. And somewhere, Michael believed, his little girl in her yellow dress was smiling, knowing that her daddy had finally learned what mattered most, that protecting children isn't about grand gestures or perfect parenting. It's about the small choices, the careful decisions, the moment when you choose caution over convenience, safety over speed. It's about understanding that every choice matters, because every child is precious beyond measure. And some lessons, the most important ones, are written in tears, but remembered forever. Parents, this story isn't just about food safety, it's about listening. Michael's tragedy teaches us that parental instincts matter. When your partner, your gut, or that small voice inside warns you, listen. Don't dismiss caution for convenience. Don't ignore warnings for comfort. Every small choice we make for our children matters. Where we take them, what we feed them, who we trust with them. These aren't just decisions. They're the difference between safety and tragedy. Grace knew. She felt it. She spoke up, but her voice was dismissed. Parents, especially fathers, listen to your partners. Their instincts are protecting your children. Michael learned the hardest way possible that 20 minutes of patience could have saved everything. Don't wait for tragedy to teach you what caution could have prevented. Your children are watching. Your choices are teaching them. Choose carefully. Choose wisely. Choose with their precious lives in mind. If this story moved your heart and reminded you what truly matters in parenting, I need you to do something for me, for Esther, for all the children this story can still save. Hit that like button right now. Let's spread this message far and wide. Subscribe to Parent Tales so you never miss a story that could change how you parent, how you protect, how you love. Share this video with every parent you know. Your friends, your family, your church group, your mom's group. Someone needs to hear Esther's story today. And drop a comment telling me where you're parenting from. I want to know that Parent Tales is reaching families across the world, protecting children in every corner of the globe. Another powerful story is coming soon. One about a choice that will test everything you believe about family, sacrifice, and what it means to truly protect the ones you love. Until then, hug your children a little tighter tonight. Listen to those warning voices. And remember, every choice matters, because every child is precious beyond measure. Thank you for being part of the Parent Tales family. Now go, be present, be careful, be the parent your children need. See you in the next story.